Welcome back to the Millennial Classics, y'all, where we talk about the best and most memorable movies, music, and books. Yes, you heard it, and books of our generation. We are back and we are doing again the three body problem. Well, Nate had a really good conversations with me earlier about how we're going through the book. Part two of our review of this book is dropping. So we're changing it up halfway through. When I say halfway, I really mean a quarter way through because we only got up to chapter 10. But the way I think we're about to do it is the way I think we're going to continue doing it. And I'd like to jump right on in because instead of trying to do this chapter by chapter, because it's a sci-fi book and they go all over the place, we're doing it topic by topic. And the topic we're doing today is the actual three body problem game, the actual game in the book, the three body problem. But before we jump in, Nate,
Yes.
this is the question that I had in my mind the entire time going over this game. Honest to God, it's kind of a boring fucking game, right?
It's super boring. It'd be fun to play, but it's super boring.
That's there's nothing like as a player playing the game, maybe seeing the things. If it's those V suits are actually you feeling the sensations, that might be.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, if you're feeling the sensations, that could be just enough fun. But Jesus Christ, the entire game is you sitting there and watching things happen. Fast forward through time. Let's see what happens.
I think if you were wearing a V suit in any world, it would be dope. So I'm not sure that this one, it is pretty. I don't know. I think people like it because it feels realistic to them in the game.
Oh, 100%. But the thing is, if you have a V suit, right? And your options of video games are like Call of Duty, Super Mario, fucking, I don't know, whatever game is hot these days, Minecraft. And then you have the three body problem. Like, it makes sense to me that only these weirdo intellectual science geeks are the ones that like this game because you're just there to see what happens and hope that you can make a difference. But let's talk about the difference people are trying to make. We are starting out the portion of the game where we're starting out. We're not starting from the beginning because we already went over that. We're starting with our boy Mosey. Mosey? Is that how you say his name? Mosey?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I tried to do a little bit more research for this, but I was like, fuck the research, all right? But I did know that he is a Chinese philosopher. But throughout this, when Wang gets back into the game and he's talking to Mosey, like the first thing that they mention is that Confucius's skeleton is right there. And with all due respect to Cixin Liu, why Mosey instead of Confucius? Like Confucius is the guy. Confucius is the guy. Why wouldn't you pick him instead?
I think probably because they're saying they outgrew him, but I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, this Mosey dude, I didn't know enough of the philosophers and people to begin with.
Exactly.
But he was clearly a nut.
Yeah, of course he's clearly a nut. And I'm guessing it's because you think his device or his idea of what the world is or the universe is with the the two spheres and it's floating in a ball of fire.
I mean, dude, that's what people think. So, I've heard people say that the stars are just holes poked in a curtain.
Yeah,
so you could really make a model for anything.
And like you have to think that like us human beings in 2023, it's not like a luxury. It's like the greatest gift God could ever give a human being is not being born like pre-technology, right? Like we have the luxury of being born into a world where understanding the way the universe works is a baseline of function, right? If you have to come up with a way the universe works, it's not a bad idea. It's not the worst idea. It's actually kind of a good idea. It actually is.
I mean, dude, if I was back there when like at the early times of people trying to figure shit out, dude, I'd probably think that it was a curtain with holes in
it. Exactly. But to talk about Mosey, so the way he goes about trying to explain to Wang what the universe is, he talks about those two spheres, right? He says that there's one sphere, and then the second sphere is the sphere where there has the holes in it. And I'm just trying to imagine this and picture this in my head, right? where you can see the sun, the stars are just the light from the fire in which these two spheres are hanging around. And that third sphere, so let me explain this one more time. The first sphere has the two big, or well, he would consider at this point, because they don't know there's three suns, the one big hole. And that one big hole is the sphere for the sun. The second sphere has all the dots with all the stars in it. And then both of those spheres are in a ball of fire, and that's where the light from everything is coming. Did I get that right, or did you think it was something else?
No, you got it right. But my issue was like, he says that the first sphere, I'm pretty sure, has the hole for the sun.
Yeah.
But then
because it's the biggest.
But then the second sphere is on top of it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's what I was like. I was really confused when I read it. I'm like, is the humans outside the second sphere? Or are they inside the first sphere? That's why I figured they're inside. But then
because the second sphere would be covering the first sphere.
Yeah, we must have read it wrong, but maybe not. Maybe
not. Listen, if you all know the details of his spheres, obviously it's fucking wrong. But like the idea of it is fantastic. And this is in Wang's, this is his third time in the game, or the second. Either way, this is just the beginning, right? So when he comes back into this game, this is the first time that there's actually a telescope and he can look up to the stars. Right. And the question that like kind of gets Mosey is he asks him, what about the shooting stars, right? What about the shooting stars? And he's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? That's how people know what's going on this planet. What do you mean? It's like the thing that tells us what's about to happen. Like there's three things here, Nate, that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
And this is something I just want you to sit with and just like, I think it's so much more of the people that you deal with in the time. I know it's supposed to be like it's going through time, the atomic age, the computer age, the philosophy age, the Ming dynasty, whatever. I know it's supposed to be going through time, but like for you personally, if there are three people that you could pick to like have like an AI give you their version of who they actually were, and come into the video game, I just want you to sit with that and give me a couple of answers at the end of our conversation.
Okay.
But I know you just said back then you thought it was the curtain with the fucking
I mean, dude, literally think about it. Like you're a caveman. Okay. You're freaking cold like you don't know.
You have no idea.
You have no idea. You're just looking up and they aren't moving. Nothing's moving. And you can't have any notion of space because it doesn't exist, the idea of space. Although maybe you do.
And maybe the thing is, with the telescope, you can start to see some shit, right? Like at least they have the telescope in Mosey's time and the second time that Wang is back in the game. But I want to ask you right now.
Yeah.
Because there's so much we don't know. We just had those alien hearings from the fucking government, right? So aliens are a real thing. I mean, as of those guys, I don't know. Who knows, right? Like with the MCU, with the Marvel Universe and the DCU talking about the multiverse, you hear like these physicists talk about string theory. You hear all of these crazy ideas, right? Like the ancient aliens who built the pyramids. Is there any fantastical idea of the universe that I don't want to say sticks to you, but like you maybe want to believe? Like, is there an idea of the universe that speaks to you the most?
But I could go off for like 10 minutes on this shit.
Give me like the appetizer version.
The appetizer version for me would be that love is God. When people think about God, I imagine that everyone has a love that they're working towards. You can imagine a grid, and you can imagine that people are to meet they have a meeting point, right? But everyone has a different emotional composition. And then these people are scattered along the grid. So even though you have to get here, you start here and you have to get through all the people going here and you interact in a way that looks like complete chaos to us.
Yes.
But in reality, if you were to extend time, it would actually be a really understandable trajectory. And it would be almost linear. You'd be able to see the linear line through it. That's what I believe is happening.
So look, listen,
and maybe you could tie in like other worlds and shit, maybe. Well, it could be inner space. We could be reaching across space, you know? That love someone could literally be born in love with someone from a different planet. In theory.
Oh, do you
Because the
mean they
universe,
could be
because the
born
universe,
in love with them, or
no,
do you think
yeah,
that
yeah,
they would fall in love if they met? Like, so you believe that like the
I
love
have
is like your
predetermination.
temperament, like you're born with that love for that other person.
No, you are like the way I see it. This you have like a theoretical planetary orbit, like a place that you want to reach where that's your perfect orbit. That's where you meet your love. In my eyes, it's kind of predestined, right?
Oh wow.
So you are constantly being dragged to that towards that point. All you got to do is keep learning and changing and evolving. Now, if the universe entropy is increasing the level of chaos, then eventually you could imagine that someone born on our world connects with a different particle, if you call us particles, on a different planet
That's
because we
amazing.
are increasing, right? So if it's two, you eventually the space becomes wider until it encompasses another planet, and boom. And this is something that I think is actually, I don't know if it's undeniable. It's not undeniable. I don't want to come out like a crazy person. But if you think about all of our dreams are to engage in space travel, all of our dreams are to engage in other planets. And usually when things are broached, when certain levels and boundaries are broken, they're by someone who's really passionate. And love is the greatest passion, I think. So if we have these ideas of space, then perhaps it's because we already reached them. And if we already reached them, then love, then we can
Nate,
bank on it. Then we
oh
can bank
Nate,
on it, bro.
I gotta say this is adorable. Like Nate, this is actually
It's
you're the
love,
most
baby.
romantic nerd I've ever heard. And that's the most like the like I think when like romance like the idea of like romance, right? Like that's the end goal of romance. That's the
Exactly.
universal version of
But
romance.
isn't everyone's goal in life love? Every single one's goal, even if it's love of money, love of this, you're trying to
Exactly. No,
reach a
you're
fuller
right.
state.
You're right. You're right. And it's like there are things in this world that you can like at least for like a conscious like beings, there like are like aspects. What is life? What is the goal? What is the purpose? But like emotions, every like there are things that you can't control that everyone goes through. And most of that stuff is like physiological, but that emotion, like the excitement, these are things you can't control that are part of every single conscious, aware being. And it's like, maybe that is the place where we should be looking towards, or at least I feel you. What I'm trying to say here is it's beautiful that you think that because
Oh,
Mosey, the very like bare minimum Wikipedia that I looked up, he is a contemporary of Confucius. That's why they pointed out the skeletons. But per Wikipedia, Mosey's philosophy was based on the idea, hear this here, of universal love, which he believed was the foundation of a just and harmonious society. So like you and Mosey
100%.
might get along.
100%. No, 100%. It's love. I mean, it's honestly, it's undeniable. Like
Yeah.
everyone wants love, then that's what holds it together.
And that's great. And that's great for both of you and Mosey, but love can't figure out the three body problem because this level of the of the game does not go well.
No,
No,
it
it
does
doesn't.
not.
No, it doesn't. So the sun ends up rising at the end.
The third
And
son,
the
right?
third, yeah. No, well, no, this is not the
Or
three suns.
oh
It
yeah, just a
says
big sun rises.
the
Two
big sun.
suns
It's like
rise.
very, very close. So everyone ends up like it's not just everyone burns to a crisp because you see Mosey being like, no, my timing was right, but I didn't know it was gonna be this close, and he's on fire while he's still like
Yeah,
preaching. Or
they always like in all these episodes when they're ending,
it's
it's
so
like everyone's
intense.
dying. It's like he's just watching it and somehow everyone's burning, but he doesn't never describes any pain
Yeah,
ever,
and that's the thing because
which
when
is
he gets out,
weird.
it is because he gets out of the thing and he's like, I'm really sweaty. Like I've just, but like you
Yeah.
never described any of the sensations. Oh, that's a lie. The very first time he did describe a lot of how
Yeah, the
cold he
first time,
was,
but then it never happened. He's
and never,
burning to death and he never feels the burn.
yeah, which is very, very, very weird. But because the sun is so close, and I do have to mention a couple of the scientific things that he noticed. Number one, this is the first time he actually looks through the telescope using that black like glass, and he notices the actual shooting stars of the flying stars are other suns. So this is what he's picking up, where it's not just one sun, it's multiple suns. And on top of that, he describes how like the sun is like an eyeball, and it's very gaseous.
Yeah.
I don't know what the word is. It's just
I
a lot of
think
gas around the actual core of the sun. It's not like our sun where it's all like one solid whatever star.
Yeah, on a
Um,
side note, if you guys ever have obsidian, it's like this black rock, and you look at the sun, it's the coolest thing. If you ever look through
Obsidian?
obsidian, yeah,
I've never even heard of this thing.
you can just look straight at the sun through it. And it's
And it's safe?
yeah, dude, it looks so good. I imagine it's what he's kind of like describing. It's a black, almost gem, black rock, and it looks so cool. You just look at the sun.
It's on the list. It's on the list. But that's what happens. And not because the sun is so close, it's not just that the world burns up, but the world burns up in because the sun's so close, the gravity lifts people from like the floor. And it's like the sun's gravity sucking the human beings out. Like this alien planet, this like video game, it says like this civilization has died and then life came back. When a sun like burns a planet to the crisp, like what is surviving that's allowing life to continue? Like, do you believe that? Or do you think that like, because as I was reading this, the reason I never connected this to the real world of the three body problem in the book was because I was like, this planet, this game, they're dying in like the most severe, crazy ways every single time. It feels like to me, every inch of what life would be decimated, and there would be nothing to bring life back.
I don't know. This is, as you say it, it's kind of interesting because in theory, we would say that as long as Earth maintains its orbit, even if it burns, et cetera, it will rekindle life, right? But as I'm thinking about it, we have such a small snapshot of time of our investigation of it. So when we say that human life has to exist at this fourth planetary orbit in these conditions, what if that's actually just our perception of life?
Oh yeah, you're right.
What if life could exist on Mercury and Venus? It's just not existing at the time that we're existing.
Yeah.
And we would never fucking know. And that goes to it because if a world is burned to the crisp, then it's just like can anything ever be completely vaped of all life? And I don't think that's possible because eventually something would germinate. Some particle from somewhere would land there. And then another particle would land there. And then who fucking knows?
Who knows? Yeah, because there's like I know there was this documentary about these folks that go to the volcanoes, and there's like actual living, like I don't know, bacteria or viruses or whatever that are actually living in the fucking lip of a volcano where it's like 1,000,000 degrees. So you're right. This most likely, like if there is a source of life on that planet, like it being burnt to a crisp will definitely not do it. And I
think
know
it says it takes like hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years between these civilizations.
Exactly. Which is incredible to think about, but also 13 billion year old universe. It's definitely possible. The next level of this game.
It does go to say they often reference like history. Well, they do that next time. So
yeah,
how could they have history if everything's burned to a crisp?
That's the question, right?
I just realized that.
Where are they saving these things when people get to learn about these previous civilizations, right? So the next level of the game, when the next time that Wang logs into the game, he changes his name. He tries to be real slick because when he's coming back into the game this time, this is the time he knows that they have three suns, right? So he's like, let me come in a little slick. I'll change my name. No one will know who I am. Call me Copernicus. All right, call me Copernicus. So this is for y'all listening. This is chapter 15. He goes back into the game, Copernicus, and as soon as he gets in, he's looking at Pope Gregory, Aristotle, and Galileo. Can we just talk about the crew? This is a crew. Legends. I think this is a fucking crew, right? I feel like as someone from the West, I just love this crew.
I feel like Galileo would be the stupidest. I feel like, I feel like he's kind of like an athletic dick, and Aristotle just thinks he knows a lot, but it's kind of like that type of like pretentious nerd and
nerd crew.
Pope Gregory is probably the chillest, but he might do some strange
wild shit. Yeah, he definitely might do some wild shit. But how can I forget? Obviously, I'm sorry, I said Pope Gregory, Galileo, and Aristotle, but also Da Vinci, Leonardo da Vinci.
All right, that makes sense. About him? Like, why is he there?
The Last Supper and like the Mona Lisa. I don't understand. Like, and this is
he's a legend, though. I would definitely chill with Leonardo.
But that's the thing. He is a legend, but it's a 3-body problem. Why? Like, I want to know the thought process as how he goes about picking the people.
Well, I don't know. I would
picks.
agree, but maybe it's because you seen the sketch of the Pure Man, whatever it's called, Pure Man.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Da Vinci made this really famous sketch about the proportions of a human being.
Oh yeah, like the guy like this.
Yeah,
With this,
I think it's called
yeah.
The Perfect Man or something.
Yeah.
And that has to do with, well, circles, squares, perfection, whatever, you know. So maybe that's why they picked him, because he outlined these kind of comparisons. But I mean, I was kind of like, well, that doesn't really fit.
Yeah, and like the way he goes about picking him, maybe you could go like down a rabbit hole, because there's so many people, and that's why I want to know your answer at the end, because there's like an infinite amount of people that you could, not an infinite, there's like a ton of people. And I'm also coming off of my high. Have you seen Oppenheimer?
I did just see it.
Okay, well, so like that's the thing. Like in my head, I didn't know who this Oppenheimer guy was until this movie came out, right? And then you watch this movie, and like Albert Einstein is giving his respects to this man. There's like, and then when you look up, when I'm Googling all of these different folks, every single one of them are like polymath, and scientist, polymath and engineer, polymath and astronomer. Like, human beings can't like have the potential of being so fucking smart and intelligent. It like blows my mind. But so like you really could have picked anyone, so you really can't complain. But anyways, back to the story, back to the video game. Just to give you a hint of what's about to happen, they call this, the chapter's title is Copernicus, Universal Football, and the Tri-Solar Day. So this is him. Wang gets into the game and he's yelling at everyone. You guys have 3 sons. There's 3 sons. There's 3 sons. And everyone in this game is looking at him like, you're crazy. That's insane. If we had 3 sons, why hasn't anyone seen 3 sons? You're just bullshitting. You're a heretic. Let's burn him at the stake.
Right.
And that's your boy. That's your boy, Pope Gregory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
not my boy. Leonardo's my boy.
Leonardo, right? Yes. Because and I'm happy you said that, because Leonardo is the only one. He doesn't defend him. He just tells everybody, hold your horses. What if he is right? Like,
it's like, we might have data. We might have.
Exactly. But then they answer the question that you just asked, at least for why you might not have known that there's 3 sons. So if there is a way that these folks are storing data, because I do remember like in the Prince, like the original time that Prince Zhao, like there are people in this planet that stay alive that don't dehydrate ever, and they're the constants. They're the princes, the kings, the popes. They stay alive forever, and their kids continue, so they can just like watch over like the planet. So that's probably how they pass on the messages, except for when these humongous, horrible things happen to the planet. And this Tri-Solar Day is one of those very, very, very horrible situations. All it means, the Tri-Solar Day, is when all 3 suns are close enough to the planet, so they get the heat from the 3 suns. And the explanation is basically, when you have a Tri-Solar Day, it's not just like gravity and the people are hot and they die because of they overheat, or it's like a frozen tundra for fucking a millennia. No, everything burns. I mean, everything burns like instantaneously. It is all down to ashes because there's 3 fucking suns. I don't even know how to think about this, like this situation, because it's so intense. Let me just like, when you're reading this, right, and you hear about this Tri-Solar Day, if you were one of the Tri-Solarians, if you were one of these people, are you on Da Vinci's side? Are you listening to Wang or now Copernicus? Or are you being like, this dude's fucking ridiculous because we would have seen the 3 suns or multiple suns?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm just for the boys. And if everyone's chanting, I might just be like, oh, fuck this guy. Oh, let's do it. Yeah, I know. It's kind of fucked up to admit that. But, you know, sometimes you just want to cheer for the football team. Otherwise, really, but I mean, if it was a question of like life and death, I'd probably be like, we should hear him out. Yeah, I definitely say that.
And this is where your question comes into, like, like this is where the question of how do they continue to pass on this data, right? If so, like at the end of this video game episode, he like everything's burnt to the crisp, but this is the level after he beats this level, after he shares this information. So basically, the way it goes down is he's about to get thrown into the cauldron and get burned. But right before that happens, some dude, army warrior, runs in. Oh my goodness, there's multiple suns, people are burning, everyone has to dehydrate. But by the time he says those words, everything is burning up. And then the finish screen, my favorite part of each of these chapters, the finish screen for Wang is congratulations, you have passed the first level. And the first level of this is passing the first level is just coming to the conclusion that there's 3 suns, that there's more than one sun on in the solar system. And this is why, Nate, I think it's such a boring fucking game. Like, how many people would have figured that out? I think any regular person playing this game, if you go into this game and you could play it 100 times, and this is Civilization 183, like you could probably be in this like 30, 40 of these civilizations before you figure it out. Or do you think they would push you along like every video game does?
I mean, they're scientists who are playing, but they're not all scientists because they say later, athletes and regular people are playing. And I wondered that when they say that later and they're like athletes are playing, I was like, did these guys really figure it out? And I was like, they definitely didn't figure it out. Maybe they had maybe the game was built differently for different people, but I don't know. I mean, I would not be able to do that, but at the same time,
yeah,
I wouldn't know.
It's so specific, but at the same, like, even though it's so specific, the stuff that's happening in Wong's life outside of the game is also it's like very associated with what's happening in the game. So it's like, I feel like Wong more than any other person would get like a jump start on like what to expect in this game.
Right. Yeah. I thought it was cool too that in that chapter when he's describing like the 3 bodies, he's saying like it's a big game of football, a game of universal football.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. And I thought it was really cool because he says is universal football, their planet is getting tossed between the suns. Right.
Exactly.
And if you think about it, something interesting I think about is like when you're actually playing soccer, what if that's is what happening? The ball, people are merely moving around it, but like the ball is staying still, but everyone else is moving around. That's a mind fuck for you, but it could be.
It could be, and sadly, the U.S. women's team didn't move around the ball enough. But because this is the time he figures it out, right? I was like super confused at the actual 3-body problem, right? Like the reason I'm so confused by it is because it's just 3 bodies. It doesn't have to be 3 suns, right?
Well, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So then why isn't our planet, our solar system, a chaotic fuck?
Well, we have 1 sun.
But so you just said it's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. You need 3 suns. Like
you need 3. You need 3. You don't need 3 suns. You need, realistically, what it means is you need 3 differently charged particles entering a system at, not at the same time, but entering. Like if you have, let's say all the planets in the United States solar system, all the planets in our
the United
system,
States. This is the most American jingoistic description of the solar system I've ever heard.
Dude, I would really wanted to say that too.
It's amazing.
No, you just said that every 1 through I don't know how many planets, 9 or something.
8. There's 8.
Yeah, I don't know. Pluto got bitched out. But if you could say all 8 planets entered at their orbit at the same time, you could probably be able to predict their tracks because they generally swing and swerve around each other. But if you were to put like 1 pinball into a machine and then fire another pinball from the top and then fire another pinball from the side at different times, and then at the same times, see, then it all appears fucked, Yeah. And that's why people are trying to solve it, because people do believe that it's an appearance, right? And I personally believe that too, but and there has been like some people who've kind of, I don't know, provided some solutions, but Yeah,
It's not a
that's what it is.
solution. Yeah, it's not a solution. And so, like, again, this is something that I actually did do some Googling about. And like the explanation, and listen, I know nothing about science. Don't fucking listen to me. But the explanation that I was told about our solar system is that basically, like, the reason is it's the amount of gravitational pull each item in
Right.
the system is exerting, right? So like the way that made sense to me is basically that you can break down our solar system in a ton of two body problems versus multiple 9 planets plus the sun, which would be a 10 body problem. So it's like the sun and the earth, the sun and Mercury, the sun and Jupiter, because the sun has all the gravitational pull and everything else is going around it. But if you had something that had equal to or close to the amount of gravitational pull as the sun in our solar system, then everything already would be a whole lot more hectic, but at least they would be a mathematical equation into which you can judge where the planets would go. But if you add that third with the same amount of gravitational pull, then it gets fucked. Then everything is like dying instantaneously. Is the explanation like I was told / I Googled and Wikipedia'd.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why I thought it was super, super, super complicated, because I was like, this solar system has, and like the thing about sci-fi books, if I can correct one thing wrong with a sci-fi book, then I want to throw the book in the trash. And I'm like, this is bullshit. This is fantasy. If you wanted to call it fantasy, call it fantasy. No? So I'm happy that I Googled it, because
dude, that's the biggest issue with this book.
Right?
Is like, how did they get this information?
That's the question.
That's the biggest fucking question, is how do they know that this game is it?
Yeah. And like when we do end up talking about I think we have a section where we'll talk about the ETO, which is the Earth Trisolaran Organization. I think that's where I added that chapter in, or it could be like just what the politics of what's happening on Earth with Wang. But that's the biggest question, because the communication with this planet that's like multiple light years away
starts to get a little hazy.
It gets very hazy very quickly.
And they start not answering a lot. There's just questions that are never answered. Realities that just, they're gone.
Yeah. So they figure out that it's a 3-body problem. They burn to a crisp. He signs off, and when he signs back in, and now we're at chapter 17, and this is the chapter title is Newton, von Neumann, and Newton, von Neumann, the first emperor, and the trisolar syzygy. And this chapter gets very technical very quickly, but it starts out pretty dope. My homeboy Isaac Newton, who knew he was so cool? Isaac Newton's that guy, bro.
That's when they're dueling, right? Or
yes, exactly. Isaac Newton's dueling with this dude named Gottfried Leibniz. There you go. And they're fighting on the fact of who invented calculus, and it just makes Isaac Newton come off as pretty dope. And there's this quote that I love that he says in this chapter. I didn't write it down, but it's basically like when they were questioning Isaac Newton, and he's just like, yeah, I'm set for fucking like eternity. The 3 laws are set like
I
in the
fucking
history
founded
books.
This shit.
Exactly. He's like, I'm the guy. Don't worry about me. I'm just fighting over calculus because that's some shit I added on the side. It's the dopest, most egotistical thing I've ever heard. But at the same time, like Nate, like you said it again. Like if you're a caveman and you think the universe is a curtain with fucking holes in it, and then some person explains it mathematically so it makes logical sense, and you could do tests that prove their point, it just blows my mind that people are that smart. Like I can't tell you how my fucking cell phone works. There's people who are figuring out the laws of the universe. It's just amazing. It really is. Like he's allowed to have the ego he has.
Yeah, I don't know. He says gravity. I mean, I guess he did. Yeah, he got. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I don't even know the law. It's what it's like. A body at rest. XYZ. There's 3 of them.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them. One's about momentum. One's about conservation momentum. One's about fucking gravity.
It doesn't matter. He did something important, and he deserves the credit.
Yeah.
But this is the chapter where they make a human. So it's von Neumann, Isaac Newton, and who's the other scientist? I think it's just those two scientists and the Emperor. And the Emperor's the Quinn. This is the Dr. Quinn, Emperor Quinn, and they're basically making their first computer, and it's a human-made computer.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, but is that like the idea behind it is because, again, this is a type of science, or like this is like, I don't know how specific a science this is. Do you understand the basic functions of how computers work, Nate? Like, did this chapter make sense to you, or did you have?
Well,
to, like,
I don't know enough about computers, but I could kind of understand parts.
Like
of
the flag bearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I get like they're trying to do like mass calculations at the same time, but all of a sudden, who's recording all these calculations? And they don't really spell out how this stuff occurs.
Yeah.
They just kind of they name all the parts of a computer, and then they do really fancy analysis and explanation, but they leave out exactly like, how is one man now doing the work of 20 people?
Exactly.
You know, how is who's taking the notes? Who's doing the calculations? Who's fucking logging this shit? It's not really it's cool though.
It is cool. The idea is cool. And I just wanted to shout out a different sci-fi book that I've read, The Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Oh my goodness. So in The Children of Time, they do a similar thing, but this planet of spiders basically creates computers with biological life, but they're computers, and these are huge spiders, like human-sized spiders, but they create computers using ants, and it's a biological computer. And Adrian Tchaikovsky's explanation as a biology-based computer is a lot better than this book, because number one, this is a question I wanted to ask you. The Emperor Quinn, when the first attempt to use this human-made computer fails because of an error,
right? Emperor
Quinn demands orders for everyone in that area to get beheaded and killed. Yeah. And he says, and the reason he says that is because he's like, the West is always saying that the East, they damp creativity because it's all a dictatorship ruling. It's like an emperor's iron fist rule, so they don't allow folks to be creative. But then he says something that is truly beautiful and something that I don't know if I believe yet. But he's like, if you have a giant group of human beings that are entirely disciplined and they're all working towards one goal, sometimes there is no other way of getting to that level of creativity outside of that death-like discipline. I can look up the quote because I highlighted it, but do you know what I'm talking about? And I just want to get your thoughts on that idea.
Yeah, I mean, this is what a lot of people don't want to admit, and what a lot of people don't want to talk about is the necessity of force. And it's not necessary in a perfect world. In a world completely motivated by love, it's not necessary. But we're not yet in that era.
Exactly.
And to accomplish what these civilizations are striving for, which is a better world, sometimes I just know it's helped listen, help form me, help form us. I mean, I'm just saying it helps.
100%.
It helps. And I don't know. I understand it. If you were to think now of a computer and there's a faulty drive or a faulty chip, you're not gonna if you have the money, you're not gonna redo that chip. You're not gonna focus on rebuilding that chip. You're gonna buy another one, because once it made a mistake once, it's likely to go again and again and again. Yeah. And so we're thinking about this computer, these people as a computer. It makes you think, well, we would kill the people. If that's a computer, we would kill the person.
Yeah.
We'd kill them in a heartbeat. And it's
you're right.
Not even, it's just, it makes you think. It makes you think. And when this whole entire civilization is completely unified, I think they have hundreds of thousands of people doing this computer, or
exactly. It's I think it's 300,000, something like that. Yeah. 300,000.
And it's incredible. First of all, I wonder what we could achieve if we were all working to the same ends.
Oh
Who
my
knows?
goodness.
I'm not saying dictators.
We'd be unstoppable.
I'm just saying, damn. You know, like we could just tackle each one. We could work on Musk's dream for like 20 days and we'll have like space travel. We could work on like we could work on this other person's dream for like 15 days and have, but I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of one of those, I don't know, dude. It makes you think. It makes you think. Like
it really does. Because
we kill computers. This is the same as killing humans. Is this not like, you know, you get in that constant debate between like one or the rest of the society, you know, which is a slippery slope, but it's one that always exists.
It does.
The idea of the martyr, the idea of it is something that's in us, you know?
And also, like, I wasn't born in America, but like the American idea of individualism and like you molding the life for yourself it's truly an American ideal. It's truly an American perspective to look at not just your being, your life, but like the way the world should, like the God-given, what is it? Unalienable rights, right? Like these are ideas that like the American founders, our forefathers have placed in like the conception of this country. But like you go to other countries and like it's like I will do everything I can for the country. I will do everything I can for the family, whatever the country it is. There's different like focuses on different ideas in different countries. And like coming from an American's perspective, it is crazy to say that. Like, I don't think the rest of the world finds what, I don't think they think it's a good thing, but I also don't think it's a crazy thing because previous to democracy, and like when did the successful democracy truly start? Previous to that, it was all dictatorship. It was all kings. It was all queens. It was all like, and whatever they said happened instantaneously. And if it didn't, everyone who didn't listen died. So this is just, you're right. And then like you add the added fact of considering that it's a computer. And then like I immediately went to where you went to. Like if we get to the place where we have AI and then like you have an AI robot in your house doing something and it keeps like breaking the plates because it's not washing the dishes right, you're killing that robot immediately. You're getting a new robot in the house.
Right? Yeah. You're not gonna wait. You're not gonna wait for it to do better.
No, you're not. You're not gonna pat it on the shoulder and say you could try again. It's fuck out of here. But
yeah, well,
anyway,
it's supposed to be a different thing with human life. That's
exactly. But it goes on. So the actual human like computer system, whatever they do, which I thought was crazy, but it works. They ended up doing the computer functions for like a full year. Like it's like a full year of these soldiers like raising the flags and someone's doing the recording. So they get all this data and they figure out not like an answer to the three-body problem, but they figure out the math enough to predict how long the next stable era will be. But because it takes so much people to make this computer system work and for the functions to build out without any errors, there's no one to rehydrate. That's problem number one. But problem number two, because they didn't do, I don't know if it's enough math or they didn't add enough equations. I don't know behind the scenes. Like, I don't know where they went wrong, but they predicted the right timing for the stable era. What they didn't predict was that this stable era wasn't a true stable era because, yes, they would have a sun come up and it would be there for a full year. And that was the plan, but it would, they call it a trisolar syzygy.
Yeah.
And that's when all three suns are in a row. So it looks like one sun, but it's actually three suns and they're in a row from the planet. And you're just getting all exactly. Yeah. So it's like it says in the book, it's not even like once in a millennia. It's not a once in a generation. This is like once in the universal scales of like fucking three-body solar systems that it would ever happen. Like it's never going to happen again, but it could happen again. And you guys are just lucky enough where it happened to you.
That sounded like the rule of scientists. It's never going to happen again, but it could happen again.
Exactly.
That's like infinity.
Yeah. But that is how that video game ended. So that level of the video game. And there's really just one more level of the video game. And this is when we meet the scientist. I mean, I think Albert Einstein is probably like the most well-known scientist, right?
He gets a lot of. I mean, yeah.
Like he
I mean, obviously, like Newton, or
currently,
whatever,
right?
but Einstein kind of beats them all.
Yeah, I think Einstein definitely beats them all. He
Yeah.
definitely beats them all, and that's where like the actual video game ends. And this is the chapter 19 is when Wang he comes back into the game, and it's weird, right? Every other level for this game is everyone is focusing on the idea of let's fucking like figure out the science. Like I don't care if it's the King Zhao's time where it's like we're gonna do it with the tarot cards. It's not the tarot cards. What did you call them? The
Oh, the I Ching.
the I Ching, yes. So like we're gonna do it that way, or we're gonna do it Mosey's way, and there's a sphere and the universe is levitating in fire, or now we're trying to use a human-made computer. But at chapter 19, at this level of the game, they're like, yeah, there's no answer. We're not gonna figure out the problem because this problem doesn't have an answer. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fly to the nearest other planetary the nearest solar system, right? Is it the nearest solar
Yeah, yeah.
system?
The
They're
nearest
gonna fly
star. Nearest
the
star.
nearest star that would have a stable system where we don't have to like figure out the multiple suns. And they say in the game it's 4 light years away. That's the closest one. And Wang's like, oh, we also have one system that's 4 light years away. I wonder where you guys are going.
Right.
But basically he gets back into the game and Albert Einstein is like, we have a UN building and there is no single nation. This entire planet is working towards one single fucking goal. And again, to your idea of everyone doing the same thing to work to a single goal, like it doesn't happen until bad things happen, right? Like, and I hate to bring it up, but like,
Yeah, that's the doomsday idea. The doomsday idea. I mean, like if we get attacked by aliens, boom, we're freaking together. But we're only together if the aliens start attacking us.
Yeah.
You know, if they were just here, we would not be together. we would be very much apart.
100%. If they would chill aliens, it would fuck us up even worse.
I don't even know if we'd be together. We probably like let some nations just like, we'd probably be together.
Yeah.
Eventually.
It is crazy. But like, and like what you said is so true. Like they decide, all right, we're done working on trying to figure out the solar system. I mean, our solar system. Our plan is to go to another star. And he gets back into the game and it's like, yeah, we have the ships ready. We can travel at 1/10 the speed of light. And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, and like the thing is, I don't think that these Tristellarians are like, they are probably a little smarter than human beings are, but I don't think they are. I just think that they are focused beings that need to get out of a Death Star zone, a death situation. And the reason I say that specifically is we learn in this chapter that the stars aren't just like he said it earlier where it's just like the stars are a really small core and it's a lot of gas, but we learned in this chapter that it's more than just the core and the gas. The gas can expand and retract, and most of the time it stays retract, but sometimes when it expands it eats up the planet that gets really close to it. And we also learned that this solar system previously had 12 planets, 11 planets in the solar system, but because of the crazy tri-solar situation, they're down to 1 planet. So it's just a matter of time. We need to get off this solar system ASAP. We're just lucky enough to be on the 1 planet that's survived the longest type shit.
Yeah, that hits it on the head. I don't know if I should really, because I believe they do mention that they received a message from this planet. I think they mentioned that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I think they do.
Like the thing is, if you go back and read the chapter, they do mention it, but it's before we find out that Earth has messaged like the real version of Tristellarians. So like it kind of skips over you when you're reading it the first time.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't passed chapter 19, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, but that they do mention it like very, very like slyly. Like we know that this planet, the closest star, there's people communicating, something like that. But they quit everything, right? They quit everything and they decide like we're gonna travel. This is like, I don't know. I wanted to ask you like the big questions. First of all, I do want to know your answer if you've thought about the three people, number one. But number two, the big question is, do you think that there are aliens? Do you believe anything that's happening in the fucking alien courtroom, whatever, that dude who was saying that he can't tell you where or when or how or who, but they are aliens? Do you believe that at
I
all?
believe that guy. I don't really much people care about the drunk ass aliens who hopped in a vehicle and crashed on Earth.
Yeah.
You know, like everyone, a few drunk fuckers just landed here and got themselves killed and like, okay. I don't think we care that much until real alien, until this shit's like real. But do I believe in aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe in what we all believe in. So like if we've thought of aliens, I believe that, dude, low key, I believe that there's no such thing as imagination. I believe that if you're imagining something, it's because that image somewhere exists. Like who are you to say that you dreamt up of Star Wars? You dreamt up of Lightspeed travel. You're talk about hubris, talk about being egotistical. You just dreamt that. Oh, you must have the fucking most intelligent mind in the history of all minds. You dreamt that. I just think it's kind of bullshit to believe that. And if that's true, then I think aliens. I think I don't know, dude. Honestly, I can't confirm or deny.
You can't. Of course not.
But we can eventually. I mean,
I like the idea that you're talking about, but I almost think don't you think it's more egotistical to believe the ideas that are coming to your head? Because I've thought of some crazy shit. Like, I mean, like just like imagine all the movies that people have created. Do you think all of those are versions of realities and other multiverses and out there?
I think it's people don't want to believe that, but
that would be insanity, because you have to think like that's
the thing, dude. This is where science is right now. This is the edge of science right now, right? Is the deepest level of quantum, this idea that there's many realities at the same exact time. And it's like, if you were to actually think about it, then they might exist. And that's what might you be pulling at when you imagine something. And obviously it's not going to be exactly like it is. You're going to recreate it here. It's different. It's not on that trajectory. You can't exactly know it. But dude, I mean, there's too much for us to deny it, dude. People see ghosts. People feel their ancestors. People like, there's a bunch of shit that we just continue to chalk up to spirituality. But it's like, dude, eventually this shit gets proven. And eventually it might be pretty soon. But at the same time, I just think, I think that they're probably aliens, dude. But who knows? Maybe those aliens aren't yet. Maybe those aliens are. Maybe like, who knows, dude?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we find out.
I mean, like, I feel like just with the vastness of the universe, like in the beginning when I was asking you about the idea of the universe that makes the most sense to you, and you explained about how love is like the core, is like the center, and like at a philosophical level, Viktor Frankl's book Man's Search for Meaning, like the dude who was in the fucking pogroms in World War II, and came out, he came with the same answer. Like, I think you're not pulling at strings. I think your explanation with you loving alien beings on different planets, that takes me a little out, but it doesn't. Talking about something real though.
But it doesn't, because if you read this book, the Trisolaran organization, the Trisolaran planet receives a message. Coincidentally, they need to leave. I mean, you can chalk it up to anything. It looks like coincidence.
No, but you're right.
Are you believing that there is no such thing as coincidence? I believe that there's no such thing. I believe that you can change your reality whenever you want, but whatever reality you enter, in that reality, there's no such coincidence. Like, you could go outside and completely change your life and go kill someone right now.
Yeah.
But then that will set forth a different world in which you're living in.
Of course. And the only reason that in this book that makes the most sense in the ever is because when Wang-Chi sends the message, they're ready to listen. Like, if she sent the message when King Zhao was around, nothing happens, right? So like, I feel you. I like the idea, right? Viktor Frankl said it. He said it. He wasn't talking about universally. He was talking about here on planet Earth. But you guys are, in a way, talking about the same thing, which I do appreciate. I really do like. I appreciate. Do you have an answer for me, Nate? Like, I know I kind of threw it on you, and then we were talking the whole time, so you might not have had a time to think. But are there three people? And I do want it to be historic. I don't want you to say anyone that's alive, because like I don't know where your future is. Maybe you'll get to talk to that person. I'm talking about like actual people who died. Do you have, and I just a max of three people that you would have, like, I don't care if it's about fixing the three body problem or something that you're dealing with in your personal life. Are there three people that you would like to just hang out with, have a conversation with?
I think I'd like to learn. Well, who would you pick?
Yeah. So I did. It was a while that I thought about this. I like one of the big things for me, because I grew up Muslim, I really wanted to see if Jesus and Muhammad would get along. Like that's a big thing for me, right? Like, because
I feel like Muhammad on his own is nicer and less controlling. But I feel like
Muhammad is less controlling.
Dude, I feel like Jesus was like, he was
No.
pretty fucking controlling.
Jesus was the most laid back of the prophets. Like,
Dude.
Moses was more controlling than Jesus.
Moses probably out to lunch, he's probably like
he was just walking around the desert, just looking for shit to do.
He was like, what's going on?
No, but a big thing for me was I want one of the three, Moses, Muhammad, or Jesus, one of the big three. Any of those guys can join me. But then I also wanted someone with the most ambition in the history of the world. Like, I wanted to talk to someone who couldn't sit still unless they conquered the universe. So, like, I know Napoleon's coming out, like someone like him, or like even like
Hitler.
No, Hitler. Yes,
he couldn't sit still until he conquered the universe.
The way I described it, yes. And like maybe if we were closer to who's that dude that they described in Mulan, not the Hans, the dude who took over all of Asia. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know his name, but yeah, the Sean Dynasty or whatever.
Yeah, like with the
terracotta army, dude.
So
the guy had fun,
or like Caesar, like someone that had an ambition that's bigger than planet, like someone that will never.
But that's just the type of ambition. That's a type of ambition. Every person has equal ambition, I believe, but like it shows differently.
I don't think everyone has equal ambition. I disagree with you wholeheartedly. Equal ambition, like if everyone had that ambition for something that they wanted to do, this world would never move forward because people would be killing each other to get what they want done. Well, I mean, and that's why I say it's not everybody. The kind of person that ends up becoming the president, that kind of ambition, not everybody has, bro. Right. But anyways, to answer your question, it would be one of the big three religions, probably Julius Caesar. And this is just a personal choice for me because I am currently really big into Stoicism. So like Seneca, those are my three that I want to just, again, I don't even care if it's like I meet up with them individually, but like, I just love the idea of getting to talk to some of those guys. They're like, yeah, I feel like they like, yeah, those are my guys.
I don't even know who Seneca is, dude.
Oh, he's like, do you know who Marcus Aurelius is?
Yeah.
He was the king, and people say he's the closest thing to the king philosopher. But because he was, I don't want to say he was such a good guy, but he was like such a busy guy that like his, it's like the difference between like Aristotle and Socrates. Like if you could pick between hanging out with either of them, who would you pick?
I don't know. Whoever came first.
So Socrates came. Socrates
Plato came before Socrates, right?
I don't know where Plato ended up, but Socrates came first. But Socrates is the man who lived the life of like being the great philosopher. But Plato is the reason we know about Socrates because Aristotle is the reason we know about Socrates because Aristotle wrote down everything that happened. Like he's the one who made up those stories about the fucking all of the stuff. Like the Republic, the book, the Republic is all the Aristotle. So like, do you want to talk to the guy who lived the life, or do you want to talk to the guy who wrote about the guy who lived the life? I want to talk to the guy who lived the life. I want to talk to Socrates. I would like he's the guy. He's the guy. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. That's just something that I was like, when AI becomes a real thing, I really feel like if we could just make an amalgamation of all the writings that Napoleon has ever did, all the writings that were written
Yeah, and
about
then make a
Caesar,
person out of it.
and then make a person and just hang out with that person, and then they just answer you and talk to you, and like
That's
I
cool.
feel like that would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Well,
That
I
would be
would say, I would Buddha. I want to see the Buddha. I'll smack some sense into him. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. People are gonna hate me.
you can have a billion people hate you for saying such a thing. Wait, explain that reason.
No, I just would. I would love to. Yeah, I talk to him. I talk to him. I talk to. Like, I'm tempted to say Jesus and but it's like it seems like too much work. I don't want to work that much. You know, I probably want Tupac there. I might want Tupac
Oh
there.
shit.
You
Oh
know?
shit. Who
Like-
actually did it?
I mean, that shit would be sweet.
Who
And
did it?
then-
Who did it?
And then fuck, I don't know who else. I mean, for a third one, I'm really interested at the human mind and at all facets that it could go. And I wouldn't want to fucking just to see the extent of evil that human is possible, like what is going through their brain. Someone who's been really evil or done really bad things, like, you know, super
Like a
bad
Hitler?
dictator, like a Hitler,
Like a
or
Stalin?
super bad dictators. Like, dude, what was going on? And is
Gaddafi?
can
Something-
I change you by talking to you? Can I reason you out of this behavior?
Do
And
you
that's
think
what
that's possible?
I would like to try. I think that I would like to try and see if I could reason the behavior out of these really, really fucked up, well, just really bad oriented minds, evil oriented minds. Could I? So I'd like to see if I could be with one of those guys and be like, so you got that, and you got Tupac. Your boys with Tupac. You know,
I just want, and I know you said you're just going to talk to the Buddha. Well, no one's going to slap Buddha, obviously, but like when you said you slap some sense into him, what are you saying specifically? Like, what did you mean?
I don't know. Well, there's just a lot of
What's the idea that bothers you that Buddha is professing?
Well, I think it's about like all religions, and I don't mean
Yeah.
to. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
why I don't know
No.
if we really get into this.
I know what you mean, and that's why I said in the beginning, getting all three of the three major like monotheistic religions together, because it's like, are you guys all saying the same things? And if you are, why are all the rules for all these religions like different, but at the same time the same? There's
And
so
this
many
is this how you
similarities.
would have wanted it? you know?
Exactly. Like, do you know what you guys are creating by saying some of this shit? I know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that would be cool. I think that would be cool. But I also think that, you know, they did the best that they can do. And yeah, it's our job to improve.
And this is the end, but just the follow up on the last bad person you picked, because your idea, and it's growing on me the more I think about it, because your idea is love is the answer, right? And I also don't want to say, like, I think they are like legitimate like psychopaths. That's like a neurological issue, but like anyone that's not born with any like diseased mind or something, I don't honestly believe anyone is evil. And
Well, that's
I what I'm saying is I don't think that, like, I think like Gaddafi's way, if he wasn't a psychopath, of seeing the best future in his mind was, I have to kill all these people.
yeah, they
right?
don't see evil. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
But
no
there's
one,
the problem. You have to go back, and here's the problem: is some people do, and the thing is like,
How do you
you
know?
can really get into a lot of philosophy here, but you know, in our world, you can't do that shit. You can't entertain bad shit. You can't entertain evil shit. You shouldn't be able to do that here. But you could imagine in a world in where you could, in which there was no consequences. Like, let's say you're inside of a computer, you're in an AI generated
Oh yeah.
world,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it
Yep.
feels real, but there are no consequences for your actions. You could theorize that in this place, for you to unlock the whole width of humanity's emotional capacity, you have to understand every direction. And in fact, you can't understand your full width until you understand evil.
100%.
Which is fucked up, because that's literally saying that we are limited. We are in a prison as humans forever until we go to a next level, you know, because we can't, and we shouldn't, and we're real, be able to kill their people. I mean, it's not something that brings us in the long term. Like, it is necessary, but we don't want to kill people. It's not good. So if we had this world in which we could do these things, then we'd have to do it. It's like Hitler, Kim Jong-un, a lot of dictators, they are doing something because they crave it, right? And humanity has cravings. Humanity craves everything. And you have to go to the end of a craving. And I'm not putting any forth with them. I'm just saying, often you go to the end of the craving, you go to the end of alcoholism, and then you realize, oh shit, there is no more. This is the same thing.
Yeah.
Rock
bottom. That's why rock bottom is
and then and what happens at rock bottom? Where do you turn?
Bounce back up.
You bounce back to love. And you fucking go as fast as you can. And you're like, I'm gonna fucking stay in line and just get this shit. But you only go with that full speed once you've experienced the negativity, and once you've experienced that you can't in this world just drink yourself. You can't survive forever and drink every day.
Yeah.
We don't live in that world. Maybe that's your dream. Maybe you want to live in a world where we can do that. Well, newsflash, then we better go fast in the right direction to create that. Because if we don't get AI quickly,
you're going to end up dead quick.
Right. If that's really your dream, then you got to hold it in.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, the question for today down in the comment section, let us know your top 3. Who are the top 3 individuals you'd like to reincarnate, have in your AI version of the world? The next time we get back, Nate, I'm going to give this to you. Do you want to talk about, I want to leave Ye Wenji's life for the last topic we discuss. So Ye Wenji, all of her chapters is going to be last. The 3 other chapters is the politics with Wang, the ETO, Earth Trisolarian Organization, and the Red Coast Base. Which one of those 3 do you want to do next?
I don't know. I can't pick. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't want to pick the most fun because then we'll have not the most fun later.
Exactly. The thing is, I think we need to talk about Red Coast Base. I think that was the one that makes the most sense because
that's a good one.
It's the one where they actually communicate. We find out about the aliens. So that's going to be the next topic we talk about. But let us know your top 3 in the comment section below. Let us know what you guys thought about the 3 body problem game in the 3 body problem book. And then we'll catch you at our next discussion. Deuces.